Oh my goodness, we are cooking. Everybody, get in the kitchen, everybody. Let's go. Get in the kitchen. We're cooking. What is, everybody? Welcome to the Emergency Podcast. Let's go. Emergency Pod Edition. We're in The studio over here at DNVR HQ because the Nuggets just traded for Jonas Valanciunas, a.k.a. Big Val. We're going to break it all down. We got the squad. Harrison went too.
I feel like I've been in a fever dream the last 24 hours, man. I mean, could this be going any better? Maybe, but it's going pretty damn well.
It's going pretty good. A lot better than I remember. Remember we said par was Luke Kennard and nothing else. That was par. That was par. So we
just albatrossed on the first 24 hours of free agency.
So
we got an albatross.
D-Line Code's in the building.
Bro, you know who I hate?
What?
Old us.
Did I hate old us?
we were like, well, you know, maybe we can convince Carmelo Anthony to come out of retirement potentially. Like we had
the old us said that.
No, but I mean, like we had no vision, we had no hope, we had no dreams. And now look at us. 24 hours later.
Look at us.
Beautiful, man.
Denver Nuggets have made an incredible trade. So obviously, coming on the heels, you saw our show yesterday. We actually had two of them. Our live reaction, which you can watch, time stamped if you want to see the exact moment we saw Cam Johnson was getting traded.
Non-time stamped if you want to watch us eating jelly beans.
That's true. that is true. The beginning part of it's a little weird. We also had a recap show where we shared more detailed thoughts. I actually have more updated thoughts, by the way, because we do need to talk about some of the decisions Denver made from salary cap standpoint that I think are interesting. I was an unpopular person on the timeline last night. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But the Nuggets made a second move today, or third move, I guess, if you will, bringing in Valanciunas. Before we get into anything else, Big Val. You've liked this guy. This reminds me of the KCP move, and that this deal was on the table last year, and the Nuggets did not pull the trigger or were not able to get it across. And the exact same deal now all of a sudden happened. So this is kind of an interesting one. It reminds me of the KCP deal, and it was like this was lined up.
Well, I mean, I think the first part that you have to start with is how they made this deal.
Yeah,
they got Jonas Valanciunas, a very functional player at a position of need,
a true center
for Dario Saric, for a guy that we were pleading with them to just simply buy out.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, old us, the one I hate.
Yeah.
I didn't look at that as even an asset of any kind. It just seemed like a full shackle that they were stuck with. And now for them to not only get off of that contract, but to convert it into something, again, into a position of need. Like, I do like Big Val. He's great, man. I mean, obviously he's not the player he's been, but
you only need 15 minutes a night.
You only need 15 minutes a night. He's a lot younger than DeAndre Jordan, and he's been super functional in this league. And again, he's a center with a beard, right?
Well, he's a true center. I think more than anything, you look at this and say, great news for the Nuggets. Now they have a true center because there's teams that have a bunch of centers in the West. Great news for Deron Holmes and Zeke Naji because now they're looking at it and are like, oh, thank God I don't have to play that position. I think this is a super win.
This is another awesome trade. And another guy who's winning from this trade is Nikola Jokic.
Yes. Oh, maybe the biggest winner.
Because I think that's what this trade is about at its core. I think this trade is about we can't run Nikola Jokic as hard as we have these last 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
We need to conserve him more during the regular season. We need somebody to soak up those minutes at center in the regular season over the course of 82 games. And Big Val can do that for 15 minutes a night every single game. And offensively, like that's where you can get most excited about what he can bring because he can score.
Yeah.
We've seen him score against the Nuggets as recently as last season, and Jokic, he can do work in the paint on that end of the floor. So that's kind of the first thing I look at. I think Jokic's minutes can drop now. Like Nikola Jokic's minutes over the course of this next regular season, I think you can slot them in lower, than they've been the last couple of years because this is a guy who can eat up minutes during the regular season and just really take some of the pressure off Yoke.
Yeah. And you look at the centers in the West. I mean, I even look at Houston Rockets now, who you're going to have to match up against in the playoffs at some point. They just look to be one of the premier teams. They have 3 centers. If you were going to try to roll out De'Ron Holmes, who's like 210 pounds, or Zeke Naji, who doesn't play the center position well, against Clint Capella, Steven Adams, they're just too small.
Yep.
Those guys are bully offensive rebounders. Big Val's too big for that. I mean, it's still going to be a challenge, but his old teammate Steven Adams,
literally named Big Val.
His name Big Val. He's not Little Val.
No,
he's not Stretch Val.
Stretch Val.
He's Big Val. And by the way, another thing to consider here, and we all fell victim to this because I think the Dario Saric signing was bad. Like, he didn't end up working out, although it should be noted, very short runway before we never saw again.
He got no opportunity.
He got no opportunity, but also I don't think it was good. But this deal doesn't happen unless he has the second year on it, which is another funny thing to think.
Wild, yeah.
And I'm not trying
crazy.
again to excuse it or say this or that. This deal does not happen except for when everybody freaked out about player option, and rightfully so. It seems crazy. $5.5 million on an expiring. There's always a team that needs that.
Yeah.
And this is exactly like from Sacramento's standpoint, they're not excited about Dario Saric. They're excited about saving $4.5 million by getting rid of Big Val for this move. And so in a weird way, kind of came in handy that they had Saric on an expiring.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Like, I am finding myself in a position where Ben Wallace, our current GM conglomerate, is doing such an incredible job with where we are currently in the need of getting vet players, guys that you can count on in the playoffs, this side or the other. But I find myself in a position where I actually kind of want to defend Calvin Booth because it's like
He made mistakes though. I mean, to be
Calvin
clear.
Booth absolutely made mistakes, but like the contrast feels so great at the moment, but it's like I feel like Calvin Booth is being demonized to a degree that is unfair because he just had a different kind of plan. Like, and it actually, he could end up looking good throughout this too if the players he drafted also develop, and then we're also filling around. I mean, listen, I perhaps I'm a bit of a wuss. Maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but I just
What it is you like nuance, and everything is like
I do
horrible,
like
terrible,
nuance.
dumb guy, doesn't know anything.
Yes.
And there's like, you're trying to bridge the gap to like, he might have known some things, didn't execute some things well. I mean, unquestionably, he made some really bad moves, some really bad asset management, fractures among the front office and coaching. Oh, there was no shortage of sins that got him where he is. But there was also some like, oh, that makes a little bit more sense now. And Saric, being able to use Saric as this positive value trade asset is just kind of hilarious,
man. Dario Saric, we assumed he would be rotting away on the Nuggets bench next season, doing the exact same thing he did last year.
I honestly thought they were going to buy him out and stretch because it was the thing that made the most sense. So it was going to cost, the Kroenkes, who cares? But it was going to cost the Nuggets buying that contract out.
It was either going to be that or it was going to be a repeat of last year. The fact that they could get a legit backup center, clearly the best backup center, they've had since, I don't even know, DeMarcus Cousins or something like that. It's an amazing trade. Like, it's just a great trade from that perspective. Valanciunas is going to help. Saric probably wasn't going to help. If you just frame it that way, this is just another great piece of work from this Nuggets front office who they're cooking.
Yeah.
Absolutely cooking.
I think, so the big thing here now, you look at the roster, how many positions of need do they have? Backup center was a huge one. This gives Jokic a spell. It gives you a backup center that hopefully can provide some synergy with they're trying to build now an identity with their second unit. But if I look at it, you've got two options with your backups. You've got Pickett and Bruce Brown could play together or only one of them. You've got Julian and Peyton, same thing, can play together or only one of them. Then you have one of De'Ron Holmes and Zeke Naji with Spencer Jones as this like third depth piece there. And now you have a true center in Valanciunas. So whether or not the Nuggets are done making moves, Valanciunas to me completes where they have two of every position.
Yes.
Which we haven't said that in a while.
I
We've
know,
had like
dude.
guys that are kind of this or kind of that, but now they actually have two of every position.
Dude, it's the arc, right? We're good to.
We're building. We're building the art of Noah's Ark.
We're getting through the flood of the nightmare of the last 2 years. It's the word. They're very deft. I learned that about myself. I know 7 words. Every Every move, deft, a deft word. They are adept. They are making deft moves. What I love more than anything is that these moves are not just financial moves. They're not just basketball moves. They are moves that make sense in every sense. And like, that's where you look at, okay, this actually makes sense. Like the combination of the two personality types, the business, the guy with the business acumen in Ben Tenzer and John Wallace, the basketball mind, like coming together, like it actually, the way that we hypothesized it might actually work. We were just sort of wishing or speaking hopefully and wishing that it would be that way, but this is what this looks like. These are great moves and they make sense financially also.
These are also they're smart moves too, man.
They're thoughtful.
I think that's the better word
deft.
for it. Deft. A lot of people have been saying that as well. Yeah. Actually, damn, that's good. I haven't thought of that. But it's like, yeah, they could have traded for, MPJ and tried to get, another scorer. Like Cam Johnson is the perfect fit.
Yeah.
1-to-1 plug and play. I know you hate that, but that's what he is.
It's true.
Big Val off the bench. Yeah, they tried to, get Yabusele. He would have been cool. Like Valanciunas is a great fit and just a thoughtful move. He's probably close with Yoke. I feel like that maybe went into it as well. I'm sure Yoke is very happy Valanciunas is here. That probably factored into it too. So these are thoughtful, well planned out transactions that just make sense. Everything the Nuggets have done makes so much sense, and that's really comforting.
Yeah,
makes dollars and cents, baby.
And I am curious, and maybe our Serbian followers can, and maybe we have some new Lithuanian followers joining us here.
Oh my God!
Because there's a little Serbia.
Are we going to Lithuania?
We're going to Lithuania.
Oh, man, no. Hey, first of all, Eurobasket is in Latvia right this year. Visit Lithuania. The Nuggets, by the way, Tommy Balčėtis, Lithuanian, on the team last year. I think this is part of how
snapping a pencil right now.
Yeah, but they still have Marty Pocius, who's one of their international scouts, who I think actually knows Valanciunas pretty well. I think they both do. But Marty Pocius was a very, very good Lithuanian player, so they know there's some familiarity there. I think I'm curious though. I think Jokic and Big Val, they do seem to always enjoy each other.
They do. They do get along well.
But there is a little Serbia-Lithuania rivalry, so I'm kind of curious. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, like
Bosnia, Serbia didn't.
Well, I think that one's a little different.
Just saying.
That's a little bit of a different kind of rivalry. I think.
But also, what this move probably means is DeAndre Jordan, I don't think is coming back now.
I agreed.
Vlatko Čančar, I wonder what his future is. I would guess he's not back. So kind of a changing of the guard at the end of the Nuggets bench, which overall is a good thing in my opinion. They definitely needed that.
Yeah, like here's the thing that you have to look at now as the landscape of the Nuggets is now taking full form with, as I saw it phrased perfectly, Tenzer's arc. We've got two of each kind, but you look at, okay, so we've backfilled now the end of the bench, the part where, we couldn't really rely on that. So we burned both Jokic and Murray down to the nub and ended up costing us both games 4 and 5 against the ultimate champion, OK City Thunder. These are guys that could have eaten up time and at least kept you afloat. And then you also do now have to factor in the idea of internal development. We were using that as a dirty word, old us, the ones I hated.
Yeah.
But it's true. You have to assume, or at least it's at least reasonable to assume that Strother will be a better player next year. P-Watt will be a better player next year.
Yep.
To what degree, you never know. But Christian Brown took a huge leap last year from the year prior. Yeah. And he was playing well before. And P-Watt played well last year. He didn't play in a way where you're like, that's our future of the franchise, but it's not at all unthinkable that he could go to LA this offseason, bulk up, become a lot more stout in the paint, and then become a lot more of a versatile defender along with his length. There's just so many things that you can look at, and obviously De'Ron Holmes is a massive factor in that as well. You can think of that again if you so choose, as I do. That's the Nuggets draft pick, but he's not only a draft pick, he's a draft pick that was with the team for a year, so you won't have that shock of what it is to be on the road as a rookie and having to structure your life around that. It's really not homerish to be excited and bullish on the future of this Nuggets squad. I mean, I think that that's kind of a universal thought now. Like they're, if you wanted to be shrewd or just like cold and calculated about it, look at the gambling odds. Like they have the second best odds.
Oh, they've gone up. Yeah, they've gone up quite a bit. By the way, I made a bet yesterday on Bet365. I made a bet yesterday for a Nuggets championship at plus 1,600.
I think it just paid out. They went up by 20 just now. Let's go.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, what is it the Nuggets have left to do? What are some of the financial implications of all of this? Where are the Nuggets weak or strong now at the roster? There's so much to get to on this hour of podcasting.
Guys, if you have any flooring needs, check out Empire Today. They are your home court advantage, your home floor advantage, a lot of people would say. Empire Today, they have flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. That's all they do. Flooring, flooring, flooring. Don't go to the big box stores. Don't even think about it. Go to Empire Today. If you're putting in new floors, if you're thinking about putting in new floors, they are your best bet for a new floor. They live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. Doing your floors is a big financial commitment. It costs a lot of money. It's a big project. So you need to go with the experts who are going to walk you through that process. Make sure everything is up front so that there are no surprises, nothing that catches you off guard. Get precise measurements taken, have all your questions answered so there are no surprises. With Empire Today, you're always going to get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. Some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code DNVR, a $350 discount. With the code DNVR, restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/DNVR for full details. You? Me?
I got it. All right, listen, guys. Hey, listen, man. First Bank, you know what timeouts are for? They're for sports. They're not for banking. They're not for our front office, I'll tell you that. They're not taking a timeout. They're going full bore. Yeah. They're not effing around right now. That's why First Bank offers you the tools and services to control your money wherever you are. With their secure, easy-to-use mobile banking app, you can check your balance, pay friends, acquire free agents, and stay on top of your money anytime, anywhere. It's a banking app that moves with you. And here's something extra. Open a First Bank checking account, and you could earn $300. And you can put that towards, a vet minimum. It's a simple way to kickstart better banking and enjoy a little reward for making a smart money move. So if you're ready to take your banking to the next level, check out efirstbank.com/bonus. That's efirstbank.com/bonus to learn more and get started. Better banking is just a few taps away with First Bank. Certain restrictions and requirements apply. Member FDIC.
So can we talk about something real quick that you mentioned briefly in segment one? This is a trade or a target in Jonas Valanciunas that we had heard about in the past.
Yes.
Like we had heard that the Nuggets have been interested in this guy.
And by the way, I think some of the dysfunction in the organization last night is what killed that deal.
Well, correct.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, we had heard that it seemed like Josh Kroenke was hesitant to greenlight any deals.
Correct.
Last year with the dysfunction that was going on.
That's what I understand.
Yeah. But this is a deal that we had heard could be on the table, or they were targeting Jonas Valanciunas last year. At the trade deadline, it was something that we had heard, and it felt close to happening, right? Like this felt somewhat close to happening last trade deadline, but it didn't. Now they revisit it and they get Big Val.
Yeah. So let's now take a look at what I'm curious what everybody thinks the Nuggets need now, because they do have 2 roster spots available. They only have to use 1. And I've been telling people this. Do not be surprised if the Denver Nuggets leave 1 open roster spot. You can leave an open roster spot.
A lot of teams do that.
A lot of teams do it because then you can add a guy without having to make a trade or anything. But also, let's be honest, saves money.
And you could convert a two-way to a full roster spot.
Convert it to a. You can. Having an open roster spot has several bonuses to it, but I think the big bonus for Denver would be the flexibility of we're not going to spend extra money, especially if we don't feel that player is going to contribute to winning. Mm-hmm. We've already got roster spots that are dead, so let's not do it. But the flexibility is also really important. Yeah. So I look at it and I go, starting 5 we love. I think it's on lock. Then you go to the second group and you say you have a center in Val. You've got 2 power forwards in Zeke and De'Ron Holmes, although are either one of them proven?
Zeke is a good 4. He is a terrible 5.
Next to Jokic.
Yeah, I was going to say, I still think there's more caveats there.
But I agree with your general.
Here's what I mean. Here's how we'll get to the bottom of it. Do you feel confident that he's going to have a good year this year if he plays exclusively with the bench?
I feel like given the opportunity to play the position that he's actually able to play, I feel comfortable with him as the backup.
I feel optimistic.
Sure. I mean, listen.
But that's different. I do think that it's still a mystery box. And I love Deron Holmes. That's a mystery box. So that's, to me, the power forward spot is a little bit of a mystery box. You can slide Peyton Watson into that spot. I think Spencer Jones on a 2A.
Exactly
when Denver said, and I've brought this point up a lot, that they have got to find value in weird places. I do expect their 2-way signings this year to be very meaningful. For them to indicate, like, no, these are guys that we have, not that we're counting on them in the playoffs, but we need them to play.
And Spencer Jones fits that category.
Correct. He could be a power forward when needed if you need a more stretchy, versatile type of guy. So you got 3 guys who are all question marks.
But I think what you just said in the Valanciunas signing, we can cross big man off the future targets for Denver this offseason. I think they're done in the front court.
Maybe there's a 2-way guy that they signed.
Right. I'm saying regular
know,
roster spots, they're probably done in the front court.
Correct. And then you go to the power forward spot, and I agree, there's 2 question marks, which I feel you should feel a little shaky on. But given that you have Spencer Jones, or you can slide one of P. Watt or even Cam Johnson to power forward in some lineups, I think that, okay, you're covered there. Small forward backup, you're looking at Peyton Watson, maybe Spencer Jones again in some configurations. Julian Strawther can play there if you're playing small. I think that spot is probably checked off too.
Yeah. And if you're talking defensively, Bruce Brown can also cover that.
Bruce Brown can play there as well. Yep.
Are you saying point guard?
No. Small forward. We're going in
small
reverse
forward.
order.
Okay.
I'm going to end on point guard.
We're crescendoing.
Yeah, we're crescendoing. So you have small forward. I think that's checked. If you go shooting guard, you have Julian Strawther, Bruce Brown as shooting guards. I think that box is checked as well. Although they have signed up to their summer league roster a bunch of shooters. Yeah. And I kind of think one of them will get the 2-way for shooting purposes only.
Yes.
Like, hey, we might need a shooter out there. Let's play this guy in some minutes. So then it gets to point guard, and they have Jalen Pickett and nobody else at the moment. Now, I love Jalen Pickett. I hope he is part of the plan. Denver basically has the flexibility to spend one more salary, about 5.2 million of their MLE remaining.
Okay.
You can get it.
So that's above a minimum.
So that's above a minimum, and it's a little bit decent. Like, it's not the worst, but I don't know that there's really targets out there. I don't know if there's a bunch of names that are still kind of lingering out there.
Well, we rattled off the backup big man list yesterday.
Should we do it now?
And it wasn't that impressive. I can get the guard list up as well.
Keith Smith had a good one that had
did he?
Yeah, he had one yesterday, so
it.
see if you can find that. But here's the question is, does Denver try to go above Pickett, alongside him, or below him? Keep in mind that I think also you can play Bruce Brown at point guard.
Yep.
You absolutely can.
Especially when he's on the court with Jokic.
He's not the best backup point guard, but he can certainly play it.
Well, here's what's interesting. In a playoffs, unless you get a true point guard where you're like, oh no, this is a playoff point guard, you might not play another point guard in the playoffs. Your lineups might be Murray lineups, and when Murray's not out there, Jokic is with Bruce and Brown. Ball, and then guys that can handle the ball a little bit more. And I actually think that's a really good lineup. It's defensively, it's really good. Brown and Brown would be a great defensive lineup to put around Jokic. Mm-hmm. And then can Jokic carry no point guard when you're just playing through him in a playoffs? I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a question, man, because I feel okay actually about Pickett, Bruce Brown splitting the backup point guard duties. But even though I feel okay about that, that still seems like the biggest position of need.
Yeah. This is where I'm pretty bummed that they let go of Trey Alexander. It seemed like this was a guy that could maybe step into that role a little bit too.
But they might not have wanted to get a better player than that, though.
It's true. But I mean, I think he's a pretty good player. But my point, I think that I would describe our backup one as serviceable. Listen, let's not discount the idea that Jalen Pickett could be a lot better last year. He had flashes. He had a triple double. He had some really good moments. It's not at all unthinkable. He's a very, very smart player. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see what Adelman's rotation style is, like how much stagger we have versus, because if you put Jalen Pickett with a guy like Cam Johnson, knockdown shooters, I have every confidence in the world that he can get them the ball where they need, and you could be really effective that way. So it really, to me, Jalen Pickett is an interesting player, but I think he has to be paired with the right players to be ultimately effective. That's true of most everybody in the NBA,
especially the second unit, guys.
Especially the second unit. But
I like him with Bruce Brown.
I do too. But I would feel most comfortable if they still signed another point guard.
So I've got some of the top point guards left here. Here's a list. This is not just point guards, but maybe some of the top free agents available. Yabusele signed this morning.
God damn it, I know.
There's a couple big men on here, which we probably don't have to talk about. Malcolm Brogdon is available.
Yeah.
Dante
He's old
Exum.
Pickett.
He's just old Pickett.
Dante Exum is available as well. And
Injured Pickett.
And I love Dante Exum.
I thought Dante Exum, the Dallas just made him a maneuver to be able to retain him.
There was talk that's going to happen, but now they got D'Angelo Russell. I don't know.
Interesting.
I love Dante Exum. I'll also look up some other names here.
I like him too. I will say this. For me, I think how this shakes out is the Nuggets end up either using a two-way spot on another point guard that gives them the insurance, keeps a roster spot open, and goes into the regular season with Pickett as the main guy. You might be able to add an Ish Smith type, not Ish Smith, but like a guy that you're like, he's third, but if things don't work out with Pickett, we're not going to feel terrible about elevating that person until we find...
Brish.
Huh? Westbrook is clearly ahead of Pickett, though. Look, anything is possible. To me, I just don't fear going in. First of all, I'm a huge believer in Pickett, and I think he played really well this year.
Yeah,
I think it's an underrated thing that he actually was really good this year when he was in the regular rotation. I like his fit next to Bruce Brown because I think the one thing I think you need another creator like Slasher next to him, a secondary creator. I think that will work. And then if it doesn't work out, that's where you have the extra roster spot and some flexibility to be able to move on if you need to at the deadline. So to me, I'm less concerned about it. I'm curious how the Nuggets approach it. But me personally, I kind of look at this and I go, I'm excited for Pickett. I'm excited to give him Bruce Brown spacing, Julian Strawther spacing. Maybe you either play P. Watt alongside him, Cam Johnson alongside him, or maybe Deron Holmes, Zeke Naji, who can stretch the court, and then you give him a true big man in Val. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense now. That's a smart group for a smart point guard.
It does, but they have 2 open roster spots to work with right now.
But I'm guessing they only get one. That's my hunch.
So they sign a guy and then leave that 15th roster spot.
That's my hunch.
I'm with you.
My feeling is that second unit is very slow. That's a very slow unit.
Bruce Brown,
Pickett,
Valanciunas.
Pickett, Valanciunas.
Bruce Brown is fast though.
But he can maybe streak out, but it's just like in general, that's a plotting unit, listen, you can play there's different ways to play in the NBA. That would not be a break it out run kind of unit. So I would I want Westbrook back. I can't believe I just
really?
said that. I do.
You want Westbrook back?
I do.
But you think Westbrook works with Big Val now?
I don't want Westbrook back.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense with Big Val. He's not exactly like your rim rolling.
I know.
I don't know.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm so tied in knots. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I hated him play, and I also loved it, but he pushed the pace so much.
Ooh, what about, I see a Vasa Micic. To me, that would be
they traded him. He just went to somewhere.
He can be traded again, though.
That's true.
And my point is more, he's the caliber of guy to me that you look at and say, is he above or below Pickett? We'll find out, play it, see what works, different enough. But I kind of think that's how this shakes out for Denver. That's their last move.
Yeah. So you're totally comfortable with where they're at on the wing?
So this is where it gets us to, if you're
Cam
not,
Johnson, Peyton Watson, that's kind of it.
This gets to where I think everybody's looking at the point guard saying you need point guard. Okay. But you also need shooting. On the wing in particular. So yes, that's where I would say if you're not going point guard, I think you need another shooter on this roster.
Like if you're just going to sign a Pickett level guy, like an Aaron Holiday, I think he's going back to the Rockets, but one of those
caliber guy.
I might straight up rather a wing shooter instead. Because Bruce can play a lot of point guard. He can handle the ball a lot. I would just rather, your Justin Holiday type than a Pickett level point guard.
Yeah.
That's me.
Is it weird to look at Tamar Bates as maybe a guy that might be looking?
But I think that's why they got these types of guys. I think that
I think it could be one of the 2-way guys, but it's probably too soon for that.
It's also entirely possible those guys play over whatever guy Wynn's talking about, that they bring in, again, a Justin Holiday type, and then a Bates is like, no, he's better. Play him. play him over him. But nonetheless, you need to have a stable of shooters. I just think Denver has addressed a lot of their issues. Shooting is still one that's a question mark.
Yep,
I love
absolutely.
Pickett, so point guard's less of a question, but I do think it's fair to say that is a question, is point guard. So those are, to me, are the two questions that are remaining for the Nuggets, and they have
Malik
effectively...
Beasley's a free agent.
I don't know if he'll be.
I don't know if he's free.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if he's gonna. I think he might be an incarcerated agent at a certain point.
Let's take another break. We're going to continue this conversation on the other side. Plus, the Nuggets hired some new coaches. I don't know if you guys saw that.
They did.
Dude, we can't. There's too many things to talk about.
Oh man, I need one of these right now. A Miller Lite. It's 11:30 a.m. I don't care. It's the 50th anniversary of Miller Lite. That's another reason to get one. Some of your favorite memories probably involve Miller Lite.
Dude.
If you really think about it, I know
fifth
a
birthday.
lot of mine.
For my parents. My parents had a great time with it.
The perfect beer for every occasion, every experience. If you're just hanging out with some buddies, if you're watching the game at the bar, barbecue season is here. The number one barbecue holiday of the year is coming up in 3 days.
Dude, my best holiday of the year.
It is your
It really
favorite
is.
holiday of the year.
It's the best holiday, man.
I'm with you on this.
Yeah.
It's before summer starts to suck because it gets so hot.
Yeah.
It kind of already sucked today. Whatever.
No, we got another week. And then,
I mean,
and then it
imagine
starts to suck.
you're just at the grill, manning the grill.
Oh,
You got a
wait.
Miller Lite in one hand, spatula in the other hand.
Hey,
Painting a
who wants
picture
well done?
right
Who
here.
wants well done?
Yeah.
Okay. Just FYI, they're all well
They're all
done.
the exact same.
Who wants well done? Who wants burnt? The taste you can depend on. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/DNVR to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Dude, you know what? You know who's having an even better day than the Nuggets front office? Ben Wallace. Project Dopamine is
Eric is
firing.
back.
Are
Dude,
you
I'm
back
so-
on Project
Bro,
Dopamine?
I'm so back. I can just feel it flowing. Like, this smile, not forced. Anyway, Toyota. It's the official vehicle of DNVR. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA for generations. Toyota has built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Everyone knows this. It's the official, unofficial car of Colorado. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling the weight of the world, not us anymore, baby. There's a Toyota truck. We're taking our Arc down to the lake, taking it around. There's a Toyota truck that's just right for you, like the all-new Tacoma and the return of the iconic Land Cruiser. Toyota offers 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the epic 4Runner. And they currently offer more low and zero-emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. There are 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from. And that's not just 16 different, like they have 16 cars. There's 16 cars that there's hundreds of, like they made a bunch. They didn't just
made a
make
bunch.
16,
A lot,
dude.
yeah.
Like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Toyota SUVs take command of the road and the trail so you can explore the road less traveled without sacrificing smooth city rides in an SUV like the RAV4 and the Grand Highlander. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Nedver, Stevenson Toyota in East Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota in West Lakewood. And the official vehicle of DNVR Let's Go Places.
Alrighty, we are back here. By the way, this is the wildest part of this entire arc. This is the first week of the front office. They were introduced 1 week ago today.
Right.
And it really was a mystery box. There's, I think, plenty of reason for concern. You talk about hating old us. Look, man, it wasn't exactly the most promising way that this all came about. But in 1 week's time, they've managed to make enough moves that were not really telegraphed and really seem thoughtful and smart that it's exciting. I mean, it does feel like the Nuggets have a smart front office.
Brother, listen, like
It's early, but
okay. So we were left up to our own devices. Never good. The idle hands of the devil's playthings and idle minds even worse. And we were just left to sort of be like, what is happening? Are they figuring this out? Like,
to be fair, the prior administration collapsed. So it was like it wasn't like everything was fine. It was a horrible,
to put it.
disasterful end to one thing.
Yeah.
So the confidence going to the next one should not have been high.
No, but listen, man, I applaud the Cronkies. I applaud Josh. They clearly did their due diligence. They really, I mean, it seemed like it just falling back the easiest thing, the cheapest option, blah, 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 all the things we said and the worst said, but like, This is a thinking group. They are making, wait for it, deft decisions, one after the next. And it just makes me so excited for what's to come. Like there's nothing better than feeling like the people that are in charge have the same kind of vision that you as a fan hope that they do.
Yeah.
I will say this in my conversations over the last 24 hours that I think they feel very good about themselves as well.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is, there was a bad synergy with everybody. It was well publicized. I think that in the first week of everybody coming together, including the coaching staff, I think that there is this like positive momentum of, hey, this feels like how this whole thing is supposed to work. Everybody kind of has some input, everybody working together, and all of the talents being value adds as opposed to value conflicts.
Yeah.
They're filling themselves. I think.
They should.
They're feeling good.
If they're interested, I will feel them.
Yeah.
I have a name for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Ben Wallace.
And this is not a point guard, but this is the type of player I feel like the Nuggets should target. Tim Hardaway Jr.
Whoa,
Really?
Interesting.
Not my favorite type of guy.
No?
I'm
that is the type of
Cole Anthony?
shooter's floor spacer. He's entering the marketplace. He's the type of shooter floor spacer I think they should maybe look to get. If they look to get a point guard, this would never happen, and I don't think it should happen. It won't. But the type of guy they need is Bones Highland. Like, that's the type of point guard I would look to get.
Yeah, can't be Bones, but you are right that they need like some
that
kind
guy.
of, downhill creator like that. I think would be very
Who can
interesting.
also shoot.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, a very noticeable difference between the previous regime and this is that this regime really values that real G's move in silence like lasagna. Calvin Booth
Definitely a weakness of Calvin's.
Calvin Booth sort of, he just kind of liked to talk about what was going on, and which we appreciated, but it's pretty refreshing to just know that no news doesn't mean no news. It means that there could be a flurry of activity going on.
I do want to make
beneath
one
the
thing
surface.
clear, though, that you said here, because I do think people think this. Calvin's problem was not talking to like local media or this or that. It was other teams knowing what the moves are. Those are different things.
But the one can lead to the other. It's just
They can, but
it's just
the
the idea
high-profile ones that he had were the Kevin O'Connor interview, which obviously was then published because it was on record. And then number 2, Jaron Holmes being telegraphed, everybody kind of knowing what is coming. But those things are separate from, those are two separate things.
But to me, they are all symptoms of the same sort of disease.
Who could have seen Val coming today? Who could have seen it?
Right. I mean, that happened on the day. Whatever. At the point that we didn't know that 6 months in advance.
Are you going to tie up the point, or is that it?
I don't know. I feel like I did a good job.
All right. Nuggets also hired some coaches today, with possibly more on the way. Rodney Billups, of course, the younger brother of Chauncey Billups, who's been a scout both for the Trailblazers, his brother, as well as for the Brooklyn Nets, stationed in Denver, though. So he was at like every Nuggets game.
Yeah, scouting
the Nuggets, or scouting basically the Nuggets and whoever was here. He is now on the Denver Nuggets coaching
He's watched
staff.
a lot of Nuggets basketball over the last couple of years.
And you guys want to have some fun here? Nuggets also hired JJ Barea. JJ Barea, who's been coaching in Puerto Rico for a while now. They're rumored to be interviewing Jared Dudley later in this week.
Yeah.
Very interesting hires, especially those last
also
two.
because JJ Barea was just on the Mavs staff as an assistant with Luka Doncic there.
Oh, interesting.
Well, not on their staff, but a teammate.
Yeah.
He was a teammate.
He was a
of
teammate
Luka's.
and
kind of player coach type of guy.
And a Luka favorite.
Yep.
As was Jared Dudley.
Yeah.
Just kind of interesting.
So just, something to take note of, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Just kind of interesting. I mean, it's weird because they got both of them.
Just chew on that for a little bit.
I'm not even sure what you guys are hinting.
Just
to be
chew
honest.
on it.
Oh, I'm not hinting at anything.
No, we're just stating the facts of the two hirings.
I just thought it was interesting that's who they went after.
Also of note, it was reported, I forget by who, don't hate on this big Waz. I forget who it was. But JJ Barea is going to be on the front of David Adelman's bench. So he's going to be one of the lead assistants.
Barea?
Barea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he did that so that David Adelman looks big?
You know what? I'll be honest. I made that joke. I made that joke in the group chat. I was like, oh my God, he's like short guy.
You're like, he's the last assistant, but we're going to put him first next to me.
Well, you know who makes people look really small? Popeye Jones.
Yeah, dude.
He's out of here. He's out of here. Stephen Graham, like 6'7", or 6'5".
You're like, we were adding our coaching staff, Muggsy Bogues, Isaiah Thomas.
But I do think this is a very interesting ad for the Nuggets front office. You know, you're getting an ex-player, possibly two ex-players. You're getting a guy in Rodney Billups who, knows people around the league. So the Nuggets are bolstering sort of their like player familiarity, I guess.
And
that's
also,
what it signals to
Jared
me.
Dudley is interviewing this week. That seems like it might still be on the table.
No, I'm talking about him. Yeah, him and JJ Barea. I'm almost operating as if that one is, very possible to happen. Yeah. But you're getting two guys
and I think Rodney Billups kind of falls into that category too.
So they're bolstering the sort of like bridge between players and coaches in a way, I guess. I mean, every roster has this type of guy, but those are the guys, that you're bringing in.
Yeah, I really like it. David Adelman, great X's and O's mind. I think he, talks and communicates with players really well, has a good relationship with obviously most of the guys on this team and this core. He's been here forever. But, X's and O's, schemes, play call, like that is his forte. Yeah. So I love that he's filling out the staff with, guys that have more of a direct line to the players.
Yeah.
And I imagine that the front office is going to be talking to the players a lot more. Not in a weird clandestine way.
More than never is
more than never. But I imagine, John Wallace will be in the locker room. It's like should this work the way that it feels like it's going, it just seems like a very healthy environment is being fostered. And which brings me back to that point. We can't sign Russ. What am I talking about? It's like
I love that you had the full arc of that one segment.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore, dude. I'm out of my mind. But I love the idea that for all of Malone's strengths, that I was probably his biggest supporter, and I remain that. I'm so I don't know, thankful for what he did around here. But there's something nice about the idea that the team, like we mentioned, has grown to the point where they don't need that mentor vibe anymore. And like Malone, the head coach, David Adelman, is not a guy that seems threatened by other people talking to the players and altering sort of the vision and making it this is a sacred space. You stay out, blah, blah, blah. It just seems like a very collaborative in the best way, not the worst, not the marketing way, not groupthink, but just sort of we have a holistic, culture that's being put in place, it seems. And to me, that's exactly what you want for a player like Nikola Jokic, who is so tuned into the idea of there being a purity and an ethical way to approach basketball. So in the end, I feel good.
Let me give one last thing, and I'm going to bring Nuggets fans down here because Nuggets fans were all upset at me yesterday. Well, not really. I don't think it should bring Nuggets fans down personally. I don't think
Why were they upset at you?
Because last night I actually used a bad word. I said it might be wise of them to duck below the tax or to stay below the tax, which is what they did.
No, that was the bad word?
The year of Jamal Murray.
I said it might be wise, but I was operating under an assumption that I kind of realized was in my head, that I was privy to that most people are not. And that is that under the previous regime, they were under the belief that the Cronkies would avoid the tax one of the next 2 years, either this year or the following year. And the reason was to delay the repeater tax an extra year. Mm-hmm. So they would get out of it, go back into it following that, and it would just save them money on 1 year so that then they could end up paying a bunch for the remainder of Jokic's prime. It's almost like this midway lull that they were either directly instructed to or it was strongly hinted at that that's what they would do. So when they made this move, and I actually think this is more impressive when you think about Ben Tenzer and John Wallace and what they pulled, was I think they were operating under this assumption that not only do you need to improve the roster with limited resources, but you also have to get below the tax. And the fact that they were able to do it, it actually adds another layer of impressiveness that they were able to do this. But then that comes to, well, the Nuggets can still sign guys. There was at that time players like Horford out, and I know everybody wants to go for those guys. And I said, don't be surprised if the Nuggets finish under the tax this year. Under the tax this offseason.
Not the second apron, not the first apron.
Not the first apron. The
bottom tax.
The tax. And as they sit right now, they are $2.9 million over the tax, assuming they hit all of the incentives on Aaron Gordon and Cam Johnson's contracts. They are $2.4 million under if none of it hits. So
are we rooting against those guys?
So some of them likely will, some of them likely won't. So now this is why I think the Nuggets are likely to keep one roster spot open and likely to make some kind of low-level signing that gives them the flexibility to get off of money if they feel they need to, because they're close enough that unless they can really improve their roster. Again, I'm not saying I know for certain. I'm just piecing together what I've known in the past to be true and what I'm looking at now at the spreadsheet as you add all these things up. I would not be surprised if the Nuggets look at it and say, are we actually better if we spend our $5.2 million MLE left? Are we actually better with whatever player we get? Or does it make no meaningful difference? So let's go to the deadline and we can either go down or up based on what happens.
Like if they were in this position last year and they signed Dario Saric to $5 million and it put them in the tax, which is something that will ultimately hamper them down the line. That it makes no sense to do. Like they should not make. They should not do it simply to make moves.
The only thing is, the only pushback I'd have is the only penalties of being in the luxury tax are monetary.
Correct. There's no other reason.
You don't have any restrictions.
There's nothing else.
Nothing else.
Look at the tax.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you go into the first apron, you have the trade restrictions and stuff. When you go into the second apron, you lose the draft picks and all that. When you're just in the old luxury tax, it's just costing ownership more money.
100%. So
and that to me is a tough pill to swallow if that's something that's in their calculus right now.
As it should be. Because I think everybody looks at that and says, Cronkies, you just saw the Lakers sell for $10 billion.
Yeah.
You made, just based on the valuation of your own.
What they make with the Lakers sale?
They made $1 billion. I know. The valuation of the Nuggets went up $1 billion.
Can we build the practice facility?
Also, like if you're looking for cash, you could just sell the Rapids. It's fine.
So I don't think people should care about billionaires' money, but I am a realist. I also know how the world works. This is how not just the Cronkies are, but many owners are, but especially the Cronkies. And I also know what I had just heard in the past, that this was something they were looking to do. Not because they weren't going to be in the tax for many, many years, but they felt like the compounding being in the tax for 7 straight years was tough. And if they could dip below 1, it allows them to go back over it next year, which they certainly will, because they have Christian Brown's extension, Lightly Peyton Watson, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. They have a bunch of extensions kicking in next year. Next year is a tax year. Yeah. So do they start the repeater this year or do they start it next year as a consideration? And my hunch is the Nuggets will try to avoid it this year. And my only thing to soothe people's thoughts on that is, 1, we don't know if it's going to happen, so let's wait till it happens.
And all the moves they've made.
And two, actually it's 3 things. All the moves they made, they are a better roster now than they were last year. And 3, I'm not actually sure signing a player is meaningfully better. So it might be a thing where they get their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And I know people don't love that, but that's just
that is the reality.
I'm trying to be the realist.
Hold on.
How this works.
No, but hold on. Like, there's a difference between making that statement yesterday and making that statement right now. Like right now, it's like the Nuggets have sufficiently covered their bases and are still like. There's a difference between just being cheap, just to be cheap,
and they kind of suck, and we don't really love it.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, well, hey, listen, man, like Saric was cheap, like we're whatever, but you get like. If you just removed any knowledge of the money that these players were making and you just looked at this team holistically, you're like, yeah. And like from that point on, none of it, that we shouldn't bother ourselves with anything else. It's like, did they do a good job constructing a team? I say absolutely yes. Yeah. And if there is a move out there that can make them appreciably better that they avoid for the tax, that's where you can start to be like, all right, like what are we doing?
Agreed.
But if it's just, people, there's just an idea that owners should spend regardless. And you can, the funny thing is that you can just immediately look to Phoenix and be like, no, like you can spend like an idiot and it actually makes you worse. Like, so yeah, to me, this is not like that notion is no longer bitter. It's actually,
and Nuggets fans, and Nuggets fans were very upset at me for pointing this out. And like I said, I did say it'd be wise, but I was operating under the assumption that this was ordered. And if it's ordered and you have to pick next year or this year, you're close enough this year that it's like, might as well do it this year. That being said, I do think the Cronkies should just always be in the tax until Jokic retires because they'll never have another one.
They absolutely should be.
But to Eric's point, it might not matter. It might not make you better.
It might not matter. And it probably doesn't matter who your 15th guy is. But here's a scenario. Say you roll into the season with 14 guys, you're under the tax, everything's good, you have a great team, you have the guys that we think they have now, you're all set. What if you add a 15th guy and that guy is, a Justin Holiday type of guy, and you're all of a sudden in the tax because of that?
Right.
That I do think makes you a better team. Doesn't make you that much better, but it does make you a slightly better team.
But the Nuggets might be able to add that caliber player at the deadline.
But why wouldn't you add him at the beginning of the season?
Because then you have to buy him out. They might wait to get there and say, do we need this or not?
But I'm saying him at the beginning of the season, that would help.
Maybe.
Him at the deadline would also help.
Yeah.
The beginning of the season would help too. It does feel like you're pinching pennies a little bit.
Yeah. But, and here's the big thing. I think the point, and again, I just think the Kroenkes have enough money that they shouldn't worry about this, but that's not how this works.
Right.
And so I do think the whole idea is if they dip below it this year, it allows them to spend heavy next year. Whether you believe that or not, I wouldn't blame you for not believing
I
but
agree.
that is the thought process.
I think that is how owners think. That's just
It
the
is-
reality
it
of
is
how
they
owners think.
It is
But
how
you,
they think.
but you, there's nothing to be
And
mad about.
you can be mad at it though.
But there's nothing to be mad about right now. If you're mad about anything
No,
right now,
totally,
you're
totally,
just
totally, yeah.
addicted to being mad
Totally.
at the Kroenkes.
Well, there's a lot of people that are addicted to
I
being
know.
mad.
That's what I'm saying,
everyone,
like-
including me. Stop being mad at me. I'm just trying to tell you how this is playing out.
Stop putting out crummy tweets and talking about being wise, you idiot.
Well, I'm just trying to say, hey,
carrying water for these billionaires, dude.
Maybe I should have said deft.
Oh,
Maybe I
yeah,
should have
dude.
said it would have been deft.
Dude,
for
Adam
them
is
to
a
do.
mouthpiece for the billionaire class. How's that feel?
Well, I was a mouthpiece for Cal and was tortured because now I don't have anyone else to tell me what's going to
I know,
happen.
dude.
But
Yeah.
now I'm carrying water for the ownership. I keep carrying water.
Lots
man.
of water
I
being
just-
carried.
everywhere
Dude. A
I
lot
go,
of
I
water
find-
weight over
You're
here.
Help carrying some water, sir.
Describing somebody as a mouthpiece is just wild if you think about it.
Yeah, dude.
You're a mouthpiece.
You're like
for-
a kazoo.
All right, let's just talk real quickly about some of these other moves that have happened around the league because they're interesting.
Okay.
The Bucks, talk about buying out. The Kroenkes need to look at what's happening in Milwaukee and say, maybe we should buy out Zeke Naji. Maybe that would actually give us some relief because the Bucks just bought out Damian Lillard's $113 million deal and signed Miles Turner. Use that to then sign Miles Turner.
Buyouts are the bell of the ball this offseason. A lot of big buyouts going on.
Ayton and now Dame, like that is insane that teams are now willing. This is why they had to put this new CBA in place, by the way. This is why. Because these owners were like, oh, we get taxed. Some owners, not all. The Kroenkes are like, oh, we better not get taxed $2 million. And then some owners are like, we'll pay $113 million to get rid of this
Dude,
guy.
I think this is obvious to everybody. Like, I officially do not understand how the NBA finances work. I was with Dario Saric. I was like, well, we can't do anything ever again. We signed that contract. We're stuck forever. I don't understand. You can just dump these contracts. I thought like the very concept of the amnesty clause being going away meant that if you made a bad signing, like you were just shackled with that forevermore, and that it would count against your cap because it was guaranteed money and blah blah blah. I don't know what the hell's going on. I cannot believe you can just be like, hey, get the hell out of here, take this huge check with you, and move forward. It makes like, it makes it so that when we just are sitting around wringing our hands about a bad deal that MPJ has, or if you think Jamal Murray has a bad deal, and it's like, you can get out of that. Like I don't get it, but like it's nice to know that exists, although that could foster even more anger. But it's crazy. I mean, I literally cannot believe but I mean, obviously, what are the Bucks supposed to do? Like that's that they actually were living in the scenario that Josh Kroenke accidentally uttered, where it's like somebody gets injured and they have to think about trading a big player.
Great point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but they ended up having to, just eat unbelievable amounts of cash. So, it's a wild world.
Yeah. I'll tell you one other thing real quick. Could I go back to Nuggets? I know we're around the association, but I just remembered a little detail. There was an interesting rumor yesterday about Cam Whitmore, wasn't there?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you try to think like, well, whoever the trade be, the clear trade would be Peyton Watson for Cam Whitmore. Is that enough? Are the Rockets interested in that? I think Cam Whitmore is Houston's Peyton Watson, and that they like him, but they're also like looking around and trying to decide.
Yeah. They like him, but they don't love him.
They like him, and they're just trying to say like which way is this going to go.
Girlfriend,
The thing though here is that Cam Whitmore makes significantly less than Peyton Watson, like $900,000, I think, almost $1 million less, and has an extra year before he's due to be paid. So not only for Denver's perspective, forget the player. from a salary standpoint, it might save you just enough money to end up being below the tax. Again, we're talking about, while also getting a player that's just different. Like, okay, is he better or worse than Peyton Watson? I don't know, but it's different. So that's another reason when I see that rumor, I don't discount it. I look at it and I go, that might actually be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not like that deal. I would not, because I think that the Peyton Watson possesses like a build that is just, it's very rare. And I think that he has to.
Are you Calvin Booth's mouthpiece right now?
Yeah, are you being Calvin Booth?
I was like, he's one of my favorite guys. But the idea is that I just think that he has a very rare. I mean, you could say you could counter that by saying Cam Whitmore has a very rare set of.
But you mean Peyton Watson has the three or the defense, the length,
the extreme
wingspan,
and
that's tough.
His
to find.
issue currently is that he's not big enough. But I think that there's a really good chance he comes back like having put on a sizable amount. Like,
well, what about this part of it? Because I agree with you. I mean, again, everybody knows I like Peyton Watson's upside, but the other part of it is you kind of have to decide the summer. He's extension eligible.
Yeah.
He needs an extension. The Nuggets might look at that and just say, could this hurt us? If we extend him and he doesn't work out, are we now spending all of next summer trying to figure out what assets to get rid of?
And if you do that straight up swap, Whitmore is 1 year behind Watson, so his extension isn't this offseason, it's the next offseason potentially.
What's the worst that happens? Like, you don't like him and then you don't extend him. And it's like, all right.
No, you have to extend him now.
Oh, before the season starts?
Peyton Watson is extension eligible right now.
He's
same with Christian Brown.
But how long is he under contract?
If you don't extend him, then he'll become an unrestricted free agent.
But listen,
or restricted.
Restricted. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think that you have to feel the pressure. Like, I think that you can see how it goes. And
you can see how it goes.
You don't have to.
But if you don't,
I'll say this: I don't think so.
If you don't extend him, it's probably done.
I was going to say,
probably.
I think they have to either extend him this year or consider him an expiring, walking out the door contract. And the Nuggets just have to. Maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they're like, "Hey, we just can't do that. Let's get Cam Whitmore." It's kind of a lateral move.
Because you could go through half the season and then extend him. You could just kind of see what the kid looks like before you make any kind of commitment.
I think you can only do the extension until
there's a deadline. Yeah, there's a deadline. So
this offseason is when you can do it. Yeah.
I'm just telling you that, and let's say it's not Cam Whitmore. My point is there are guys that make just a little bit less than Peyton Watson,
sure,
and if you were to trade them, it might actually have a meaningful impact on this whole thing I'm saying.
I get it.
And Denver has to decide. So that's why I see those rumors, and I'm like, hey, it's not nothing. There's something there.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they're poking around at Cam Whitmore types.
Yeah.
And I mean, second draft, intriguing guys that are other teams' Peyton Watsons as well, and thinking, should we do one of these deals?
I think it's foolish to look at a player like Peyton Watson and make a declarative statement of who he is as a player at this stage in his career. He played no time in college.
Yeah, but this is what sucks about the NBA is you have to decide. Like, you're not wrong. It just sucks that the NBA is structured this way that you have to kind of decide before you know.
He can at least see if he comes back and he looks like he's in better shape. He looks like he's made some kind of leap. I mean, they don't have to just be completely blind. Like, there are, and it's not like Peyton Watson's a guy that the league is clamoring for. I think that you can make a deft assessment when looking at him. Like, I don't think you have to be so reactionary in that way. But I think overall my feeling is that the front office is now playing both sides of this coin. Like, they're doing what Calvin Booth had, that the vision that Calvin Booth laid forth could prove to be complete folly. Obviously, he got fired, so there's part of a lot of what he did that wasn't necessarily part of his vision, but just how he conducted himself, two different things. But his vision doesn't necessarily have to be completely laid bare. Like, the last 2 years don't have to be for naught and for absolutely nothing if these players that he put his faith in actually do develop. And so, if you can not only get vets that are playable, but also get more meaningful production out of the guy, this is how you get the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is how you get teams that are not only competing now, but are filling out a groundswell core to compete for years to come, which is something that I agreed with Calvin Booth's philosophy. It's just in order for that to pay out, you have to have the right guys. But in order to have the right guys that are young, you have to give them enough time to matriculate before you can make that declarative decision on them.
But the flip side of this D-line is the deals are happening now. So a deal might not be available in October right before the season begins. It might be available to extend him or not extend him, but it might not be available to trade him for a Cam Whitmore type. That's why I think
But I don't want Cam Whitmore. Like there's always a Cam Whitmore type. Like the last couple days have shown me that.
But here's your point: is that you're trying. The Calvin Booth plan was having these young guys so that you have a pipeline. Peyton Watson after this year is no longer a young guy. Cam Whitmore has 2 more years of being a young guy. So if you feel that those guys are of equal value,
but do you feel like do you have a strong sense that Cam Whitmore is on a more a path that you feel more comfortable with than Peyton Watson? To me,
I think they're kind of equal.
I mean,
that's what I mean. But, right. So it's like what I guess you're just hopping from one foot to the other.
Exactly.
But you're getting 2 years of a young.
I know,
which
but
becomes important.
I respect that. I am more intrigued by the skill set of Peyton Watson than I am of Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I am too.
And I probably am too. Yeah.
But I think it's close enough to at least consider. And that's what I think this is all about.
For sure.
And that's why I think that deal is out there and I don't just brush it off. But to your point, there are other guys that might be same thing, slightly cheaper than Peyton Watson. And if you saw a move like that, that's what it would tell me is the Nuggets feel that was lateral, but gave them more of a runway. Because this is what's hard about the NBA. You're not just planning for this year. You're also, what's going to overtime. You're also planning for the future.
Oh, overtime. Fuck yeah, let's do this.
You're also planning for the future, and I think that's part of the consideration that the Nuggets are trying to thread the needle. And by the way, I think doing a pretty good job of so far.
Dang, I know.
If you can trust NBA.com, they have to have those extensions done by midnight on October 20th, or
I think that's correct.
Or they become restricted free agents at the end of the year.
Restriction means they get to counter if somebody you don't just completely lose control.
You don't want to deal in restricted free agents
Because it also screws up your flexibility during the open market.
That's what's happening with Philly right now. That's why they lost Yabusele, because they have Quentin Grimes in restricted free agency right now. And so how that works is they're like, all right, we're going to give you this offer, but now you have the whole summer to garner up an offer from another team. So it kind of ties up your cap room.
But you could flip Peyton Watson for another guy, and then with the understanding that this new team is going to not only trade him and then sign him.
Yeah,
you
it is
totally
limiting,
can.
but it is limiting. That's the only point. There's less flexibility if you go forward with it. You're saying it's worth the risk to do that.
I just think you don't have enough information to make that decision right now. You just don't, because there's the concept of internal development that they were resting. That was seemingly the only thing that we were resting on.
Which, by the way, kind of funny that they have. We're going to go into free agency, not trades, and now they have acquired 2 players via trade, 1 via free agency.
We're not internal developing much here.
That's what I'm saying. I love that the front office was like, yeah, we're not doing anything. Psych. We were like, man, we're going to have nothing to talk about. Turns out we have everything to talk about.
I know. And it all comes so quick. Anyway, long story short, I'm very excited about the Nuggets and what they're doing. Don't be surprised if they end up below the tax, though. I do think it's a possibility.
Don't worry about it, though.
But don't worry about it so long as the Nuggets are good. And again, I think the Kroenke should always spend. If they go under the tax this year, expect them to spend big next year. We'll see what happens. All right, what do we got, Kale?
Superchats, Wilson, Emmett. A week ago, we didn't even have a GM, and I was spooked for our offseason, but now we are cooking.
Oh, my God, dude.
I've never been so excited to watch ball. I'm so happy.
Dude, I think that every time, you know how every show on the Food Network, when you see Ben Wallace, you're just going to be like, chef, hello, chef. Yes, chef.
I think they should refer to that because this is their new outfits.
Oh, they're cooking.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. Yes, chef. Hot, behind.
Plating. I need hands. Sorry, I just watched the whole season of The Bear in the last 2 days also.
Yes, chef.
Ryan B., 12 non-Jokic minutes plus 4 Eastern European hefty boys bully your front court minutes. This just uses their trade exception too, so one more bullet. Maybe. Yeah, I think they'll sign one more guy probably for a minimum or very close to it.
That's my hunch as well. They might do another maneuver, though.
Or maybe there's a Peyton Watson type of trade.
A Peyton Watson type of trade that opens something else up. And you know what? They've surprised us already. What if there's a Zeke Naji trade? What if there's a Zeke Naji trade?
Does a Zeke Naji buyout constitute another emergency podcast?
Probably, honestly, because it means that they opened up a lot of.
Because it means another move might be coming.
You would only do that as a prerequisite to another deal.
Think about that. The piano man, that would be some beautiful music. Although, listen, I think it's going to go here. I think it's going to be good. I like Zeke Naji playing the floor has looked good.
I love it. I'm like, Pickett's going to be good this year. Zeke's going to be good this year.
What a terrible agenda.
We all need to. What's yours? What guy is going to be good this year?
Yeah, what terrible agenda are you going to latch onto that's going to sink you
Julian
online?
Strother? You want to take Strother?
I said it yesterday.
What about Rapid Man?
Yeah,
Spencer Jones is going to be good.
I'll be Spencer Jones.
Spencer Jones is going to be good.
Diz, I feel like all these moves are moves they already tried to make last year and now are actually able to because the GMs are more charismatic.
I'm telling you, I don't
That's
think the charismatic part is true, but I don't think that's why the moves didn't happen.
Never know. Never know.
I will say I do know on the Valanciunas thing, it was not about that.
I'll tell you that I've gone out to bars with a more charismatic friend, and it worked out better for him than it did for me. We had the same agenda.
Bobby Gonzalez, Emergency Pod, thanks to the best front office, all my homies hate Calvin Booth. We're back, baby. All the Nuggets are now good.
I'm telling you, I
I'm
don't
not
feel
ready.
that
I
way.
can't-
We're
I
not
can't hate
homies then.
Calvin.
We're
I
not,
can't hate
we're not
Calvin.
homies then.
Sun Valley Drive, gonna get fired for watching y'all the past 2 days instead of doing my job. Worth it.
Let's go.
We got to make an excuse slip or something for a boss.
Nico Perez, very impressed with the quality of these trades. What a
Yes,
start
dude.
for our unorthodox front office.
Dude, I was thinking about how funny.
Not abnormal, but
I was thinking how
unorthodox.
funny it was that they kept mentioning they're using the word unorthodox, and Nikola Jokic is orthodox.
He actually is orthodox.
He's literally orthodox.
He's like, it even said we have a pretty unorthodox center.
Yeah,
It's like
dude.
actually it's very
It'd
orthodox.
be like, listen, our front usher is not Jewish.
Okay. Tiemann. Now we don't need to run Joker into the ground. If Val can play 10 to 15 minutes, that would be huge for Jokic going into the postseason. Agreed.
Totally, that's it.
I will say, and I'm not trying to stunt on my guy AG. Pretty hilarious that he said you guys have no idea how valuable Dario Saric will be for us.
Yeah.
It was as a trade chip.
He knew.
He knew it'd be traded
He saw the vision.
for Big Val.
Super. Do you guys think Russ still has a spot on the team? I don't think so.
Don't ask me. I'll tell you that,
I don't, but you know what? Anything's possible.
dude.
Anything is
I would
possible.
welcome it or hate it.
I see hot these knees. Anyway, Jaime Jaquez comes here to get him away from Spo's ex-wife.
Hey, next one. Kale, next one. Kale, next one.
On a serious note, that'd be a nice facsimile to the Cam Whitmore trade. That'd be one of those types of deals.
Yeah, I wonder
That- dude,
I
that
wonder
would be
what
a
the
gr-
money is there.
That would be a great deal.
I would love Jaquez.
As a fellow Latino, I'm in.
Pete, thank you the Lord for a fresh set of eyes. Booth was too married to his vision. Malone was set in his ways. Hope we can keep Yoke's minutes at 33 now.
I'll tell you this.
I love that.
Cal desperately wanted Valanciunas.
He did.
Whatever it's worth.
He did. Fasu Dozier. Today and yesterday are like Christmas and Christmas Eve. We are back. You guys are amazing. No, you are amazing.
You're
Fasu
amazing. You're
Dozier.
amazing.
Vasu, nobody gets it like you. And as Vlada points out, I incorrectly said the letter C is never pronounced S. It is in Serbian. So
Dozier's the crazier
So
one.
yeah, so actually George Carl was just thinking about it from the perspective of our friends across the
George Carl knew it. The Rizzler. Y'all are sponsored by Toyota and don't bring up the Supra or Corolla. Absolutely crazy. What if I don't want a smooth city ride? I want to go fast.
Bro, we live
Corolla.
in Colorado. People buy CrossFit.
Also-
I don't know
Yeah,
what to tell you.
Corolla's a great car though.
Also,
Great car.
We're freaking wrong in Burgundy, man. They put it in if they want us to talk about the Super, we'll do it. But they got to write it down.
Yeah.
Gather raid real quick, and this comes courtesy of Bobby Marks, but I'd actually heard it from our friend Jake Coyne as well. If Denver ties the MPJ trade with Jonas Valanciunas, they avoid the first apron hard cap. So there is a chance. I mean, sometimes it's how all these deals happen is independently, but
And
if
then
you
they come
combine,
together.
if they
'Cause
combine,
they're not
them-
official yet.
But I'm not sure if the Nuggets are able to do that, or to realize to do that, or if there's another consideration I haven't thought of. But
I'm sure they realize.
Or
to
they
do that.
definitely realize. Man, I swear to God.
Because
man.
typically it's a benefit for every team to tie all those trades together.
Yeah.
Typically that's how it works. I see hot these knees. We need James Johnson off the bench. That dude is always in the finals. Plus, he grew up in Cheyenne for a homecoming. And he loves to get in fights. He got ejected from a finals game that he pretty much didn't play in.
we just have to get our hockey goon, basically.
Yeah.
Or
Makakaru.
enforcer.
I apologize for being negative. Are we back? I think
we're back, man. Hey, this team is better than last year's team. I believe that. I believe this team is better than last year's
For
team.
sure.
I want everyone within the sound of my voice to just repeat after me. Ready? We're sorry.
Sorry.
We will remain pious and we will not jump to conclusions till we have all of the information. Thank you, Ben Wallace. We appreciate your vision.
This is getting a little too cultish.
May you
It's getting a little too going too far here.
Oh, boy.
Amin, get one more shooter. Julian is way too inconsistent. Yeah, I think another shooter would be great.
We don't know that. He has been inconsistent. He is young. Like, guys get better, man. They really do. They really get better. And you don't know if they will or they won't, but it's like, this is in a career, this is when this happens. This leap happens when they say in various sports, like the game slows down. You stop thinking about things, you just start playing it again. And you got to think, like, Julian Strother has been injured for large swaths of time in both of his early seasons. He got almost no time from Michael Malone. The one thing that, again, that I point to, which is so encouraging to me, is that he showed up when the lights were the biggest in an elimination game.
He did. Good
he
point.
absolutely knocked down shots that you can't write off. Like when you see Case and Wallace on the Oklahoma City Thunder do that, you're like, man, that guy's a player. That's great. Or, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you're like, man, that guy stepped up. Like, those guys aren't consistent game to game to game, but they have big games in the playoff. Like, it's like, that's a player, man. So do not just put a period on what you think Strother is.
Yeah.
Put a
History
comma.
Channel 5280.
Put a
Cronkies
parens.
are going to kiss Ben Wallace on the mouth for getting a center without having to buy out Saric. Just praying that Porter passes physical. I'm sure it will.
So funny, man.
Imagine if you did a-
That would be such a
Bro.
tough way for this to go.
I'm gonna institute that same rule here. Like I have employees. Like
we just wait
Dwayne,
for the
I know
physical?
Dwayne is watching right now. Dwayne, if you do a good design, I'm gonna kiss you on the mouth.
Just wave the physical.
Nash Sweden. Ben Wallace rules this roster with Joker. Amazing.
I can't believe Ben Wallace stuck. It's officially the name.
Ben, I don't.
It's too late, dude.
You're right. It is too late.
It's too late. I tried to
Ben
make
Wallace.
John Bonet happen. You didn't like that.
I was not a fan of that one. Yeah. Safe Space Force, the real stars of free agency, DNVR. Who gets exec of the year, Ben Tens or John Wall?
Oh, that's so
a
good.
great question.
It's a great question, yeah.
Ben Wallace gets it.
Do they share it?
Oh, that would be so funny.
That's amazing. Josh
That-
Kroenke would
that's
just
the-
take it.
Kroenke's like, I am
Look,
so
but
proud. That will maybe be the first time we find out who is actually above who on the hierarchy.
Yeah, that's so true, man.
Yeah. Who gets the award?
We won't know till that point. THTR, new Bruce Springsteen albums. Nuggets are cooking. Can't believe this is my life. Also, happy belated Juneteenth, D-Line.
My man, thank you. Thank you.
And Win, what up, man? Put me down for Holmes being good this year agenda.
you.
There
Yes.
it is. That's
Yep,
a good agenda.
you can
to
have that one.
That's a
You
great
got it.
agenda.
There, you got that
He's
one.
easy to root for, man. If he's
Yeah.
good, you guys will love him.
Gavin, the front office has blown me away so far. They're aggressive. They have a concise vision of maxing out Jokic's prime. Cam Johnson trade was amazing.
Amazing,
I
dude.
would have said it's so amazing.
Dude, they're going to save $20 million.
$20 million.
Freaking-
They
NBA
checked like
was gonna
3
make-
boxes in one move.
MPJ was going to make $43 million next year, and Cam Johnson's going to make 23
Yeah. He's still going to make 43. He's just going to be in Brooklyn.
for the Nuggets. The Nuggets were going to pay him $43 million.
Summer League is next week. Can you guys believe it? We're 9 days away from Summer League game.
Yeah, and you guys are going to be out there.
Dude, I was dead in the water. I like as just a guy. I'm so back. Like I'm over dopamine now. Like it's like
Dude, have we already like done and finished with Project Dopamine?
yes, dude. Now it's like
We gotta bring him down.
You know,
It was a successful Project Dopamine.
now it's like
it
Project
worked.
Chill the F out, dude.
All right. Get
Also,
that outro music, Kale.
we'll see what happens
Already
the
did.
rest of the day. We might be doing another show if another significant move happens. We'll see.
Good news
We'll
sometimes
see.
comes in threes. We've had 2 of them so far. Although I guess you can count Bruce B. That's 3. Yeah, we've had 3. Hey, we're done. Hit that like button on the way out. We'll maybe see you later.
We all silly like the mayor.